Good evening, you are live, and that can mean we're Southbound, and that can mean only one thing. There has been another week of NFL successfully in the books. As quickly as the season comes, as quickly as the season ends, apparently for Colts fans. Joining to me tonight is Nathan, as usual, and we've probably got lots to get into. But I just want to start when, man, I don't know if it's just bad luck. I don't know if the Colts are cursed. If someone in Baltimore all them years ago cursed the Irsay family, I don't know what it is. But when Sauce Gardner goes down with a car strain, who's cursed the defensive backroom? Was it Rocky Sin? Was it Isaiah Rodgers? Which one of them put a curse on this defensive backroom? Is it Gus Bradley sat at home with voodoo dolls? Man, what's going on?
Well, yeah. I mean, good evening, everyone. Yeah, Sauce going down was pretty tragic, and it's because of the price we paid for him. I just had that sinking feeling immediately of, oh, we paid 2 firsts for that, and it's just an innocent injury.
It's just non-contact as well.
Yeah, thankfully, sounds like a calf strain. Rappaport's confirmed that he's week to week, so it's obviously not as bad as it maybe looked.
Yeah.
I think a big concern for me has been Mooney Ward's play the last 2 weeks as well. I know obviously he has, kind of come out on record and said he literally considered retiring a few weeks ago because of how bad his kind of dizziness was. I mean, that isn't filling me with hope. I need to be really abundantly clear here. If he needs to retire, do it. Because we've always advocated for player safety and mental health on this podcast. Mooney's kind of been very open that he's been struggling with both. But yeah, his play has definitely stood out to me for kind of bad reasons the last 2 weeks, as opposed to maybe at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just rustiness. Coming back from a concussion is actually a lot harder than we think, and NFL doctors are prepared to admit. But I don't fancy a lawsuit. Just thanks Drew Ogletree. No, I joke. It was a joke. That was just again, of course, a freak incident that could only happen to the Colts. So a bit about the game then. I said pre-game it was a race to 20 points, and it turned out to be a race to 20 points.
It was. You pretty much hit the nail on the head for how the kind of narrative of the game went, man.
I know. And did I think it'd be the world's most boringest race to 20 points? No. Did I also think Shane Steichen would try and get his quarterback's legs just shattered into oblivion by going pass heavy on offense? No. We talked literally a couple minutes ago, just before we went live, Nathan, and you said you wanted it to be clear. I want to be extremely clear in this. Going pass heavy with a quarterback who's got a fractured fibula, for me, is negligence at best and borderline sackable.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Last night I dropped friend of the show, Chris, a recent guest of the show, Chris, a message just to be like, dude, what are your thoughts on Shane's play calling right now? And he kind of summed it up perfectly. When you open your game script with 5 passes and 1 run with a quarterback with 1 leg. But like, how are we meant to? How is anybody meant to defend that?
I don't get it, because that's not. You use the run to slow down the pass rush, which I don't know if Shane Steichen's just forgotten. He has an MVP caliber running back just sat there, and he's treating it like he's got, no offense, Zach Moss as he's running back one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the O-line's been regressing at an alarming rate, especially since the bye week. It almost feels like the Pittsburgh game has kind of put tape out there of how to affect Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Our opponents are, capitalizing on that.
Yeah.
But the only one who doesn't seem to be learning from it is Shane Steichen. Obviously, he calls the protection, and I think you summed it up perfectly, man. There were times where Jones looked like he was going to get split in half.
Yeah.
And at the start of the year, we were talking about how kind of good and how strong the O-line looked, and yeah, it's all got the potential to fall apart in quite an ugly way in the coming weeks, in my opinion.
Yeah. So with the O-line, because I did look back at this with the offensive line, I think it's just quite out. I think it's simple, mate. They're just pretty much outnumbered every play. And we have quite young members who actually haven't played a lot of starting snaps in their careers so far. Bartolini, Gonzalez. Not to excuse poor play, I don't want to confuse that with excusing poor play, but if we really look at that offensive line, you've got Quentin Nelson, and the rest are interchangeable. Really, you haven't got Ryan Kelly there anymore. The experience, the guy who wouldn't just get bull rushed by Will Anderson back into Daniel Jones, which was a bit of a maybe. We need to watch that one in the tape room to make sure that doesn't happen again, because it's happened twice now. But I think we're coming up against head coaches and coordinators who aren't dinosaurs, and Shane Steichen and Lou Anarumo are being found out a bit. And this is what annoys me with game management in the NFL, because I think it's prehistoric. I really think game management is so in like the 2000s, and we're not. I know America's really got a thing about employing like data nerds. It's such a taboo, I'd say, in America still. When you look at compare it to the Premier League over here with XG and how teams have gone so data driven now, because the physical side of things is balanced out, right? But we only use timeouts after the 2-minute warning. Why? If you don't like a call, or you see something as a head coach, that's your job to just take the timeout. And I actually think Sean McVay, the LA Rams coach, is extremely good at this, and I think he's really clever with it. He doesn't, and he seems to be one. There'll be other examples, and others will do it, but there's so many times where I was just shouting at my TV to Lou Anarumo, if you don't like a look, just call the timeout. Especially after the Phantom PI call. I'm sure we can get to that. I don't understand why he just didn't call a timeout. Force him to look at it again. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think we've got two very good coordinators. I don't think we have a good head coach.
I mean, I'm definitely slightly different there. I'm a big fan of the defense this year. I think it's been on the field a lot, sadly, since the bye, which definitely skews some, definitely skews the kind of eye test, in my opinion. Yeah. I think it's very alarming how much Lou consistently only rushes 4. And I cannot stress this enough. We aren't getting home at all.
No,
we are not converting this pressure into sacks. Obviously, I believe his name was Woolley, who had the sack last night.
Yeah, lifted off the practice squad, wasn't he?
Yeah, practice squad player getting home, with a really good, move on his rush. But yeah, I just think it's, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I'm sure we'll get to this, in the off season next year. But you kind of look at, bringing Sauce in, wonderful. We're big fans of that.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine we brought in the big edge rusher. We're just not getting home, and I'm telling you now, the Seahawks game and the San Francisco game, they're going to be ugly.
Mm-hmm. But this is my big bugbear with Luana Rumo, with Gus Bradley, with Matt Eberflus, with take your pick. You rush any quarterback from Patrick Mahomes all the way down to Sammy Erlinger. If you want to rush for every time, you will lose games. An NFL quarterback at any level from first string to third string is good enough to pick apart a rushing for defense. And I think it's just one too many times for me that he just either doesn't trust his secondary, or, like you said, we're rushing 5, but that's so easy for an offense to pick up. That is literally the easiest thing for an offense and a half decent quarterback to go, the rushing 5, there's going to be someone open. And I think that, I'll let you jump in, but I think that all-out blitz, I want to say in the third quarter when it was like 3rd and 8, a blitz on 3rd and 8, an all-out DB blitz on 3rd and 8. What? Like, do you know what I mean? It was just, for me, like, again, we seem to be in this place with, who's at fault. And unfortunately, I think it starts up top.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough one. I mean, I think we've been, generally good on defense this year. I've liked what I've saw, especially the kind of very small sample size of Sauce, Kenny, and Ward. But yeah, the pressure definitely. But I think we need to make a comparison, right? So the Texans rushed for most of last night's game, right? But that D line is built to do that. You've got Daniil Hunter, you've got Will Anderson. I just think the Colts are lacking edge stars. I mean, okay, we talk about Latu a lot, but he isn't getting there. He isn't getting home. Even the commentary team, they were talking about his interceptions more than they were anything else last night. And yeah,
I think they only have to game plan. They only have to game plan for Latu, though, don't they? Everyone knows Buckner's out, so everyone knows. Okay, we just double team Latu, and we double team Grover Stewart, and we're fine.
Yeah, I think that's the key kind of context to the discussion with Latu is. I think it's very evident that he is the best kind of edge threat we've got, and it's just not kind of transpiring to anything. Even looking at last night, does DeForest Buckner come and win that game? I don't feel like he does. Because I think the offense is struggling so bad right now. Yeah. It's gone from, factually the number one offense in the league, the kind of firework team, people making jokes about us not punting, to quite literally, it sometimes feels like we're back in Frank Reich era. The 3 and outs that are appearing, and the 3rd and 10 inside zone run call. What year are we in, man?
Yeah.
What year are we in? What is he thinking?
Yeah. Chris has commented. All right, guys. How you doing, Chris? I think the word to describe Shane for me is stubborn. Doesn't seem to want to change the game plan based on circumstances. This play calling is not putting us in the best position to win. Yeah, I'm going to be fully real. I'm done with Shane. I'm done with him. This goes back taking Jonathan Taylor out on the 4th-1 against Texans a couple of years ago. Cost us the playoffs. Is essentially unable to elevate Anthony Richardson to 60% accuracy as the head coach. And this guy's got the keys to the offense again, and it's annoyingly frustrating because we've seen some amazing plays this year. I think like tactically, I think he's play design I would put next to none. I think he can seriously come up with some clever stuff, but just his situational and game awareness is the equivalent of a brick wall.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, obviously welcome in. Thanks for the comment, dude. We really appreciate it. I think Shane is proving, drive by drive, since the bye, that he is not cut out for play calling at an elite level. He can put 40 on the Titans twice and 40 on Oakland and whatever else.
I fancy me, you and Ed to put 40 on them teams, mate.
But when it's come, I don't think he was great in Berlin. No. Taylor was great in Berlin. But post bye, this looks tragic, and it's almost filling me with zero confidence for the end of the season. And it feels unbelievable to be sat here at 8-4 saying that. And I want to go back to a very specific point in the game.
Yeah.
It was our final drive, where 3rd and 2, and he calls the most predictable run play. I mean, it was like playing Madden. You just knew your opponent was going to do that. And that's what he did. And I'm thinking, you're meant to be this whiz kid. Like, everybody in the media calls him, he's this, he lives and breathes football. He's one of the smartest guys in the world. I'm thinking, what can we get a little bit more creative here than that? Then we're 4th and 7, right? And we're texting in the group going, what is it? It's going to be vert or interception. And just like that, why would you, in that situation, why would you give Daniel Jones that tight of a window?
Yeah.
And again, it invites pressure on Pittman because Pittman's a wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
Fans rightly would say, you have to catch that ball. He didn't even get his hands to it. Like, we're better than this. Shane is a better play caller than what he's put on tape the last 2 weeks. It is tragic, and I'm going to go back to a point I made last week. Surely putting Jim Bob Cooter on the mic is not going to be any worse than what we're seeing right now.
I mean, honestly, mate, I think when you've got a good quarterback, you need an elite coach. And unfortunately, I don't think he's elite. I think he's good. But like I say, pass heavy with a quarterback on one leg. What was he thinking? Like, if your taxi driver's blind, you don't say, "Yeah, I'll stick in the back of the cab, mate. Let's just go for it," do you?
Yeah, it's something we could probably debate for hours. But look, I think Dan had a good game. He made some really good throws. This game was absolutely not on him. In my opinion, it was on how bad the pass protection calls were by Shane. That's his job. It's his literal job to call pass protection. It was terrible every fucking down. and his play calling. It's just, I'm going to sound like a broken record. It is diabolical right now.
Can I ask you 2 questions before we move on? If Anthony Richardson was fit, do you think he plays? And 2, do you think we would have won the game?
I do think he put, well, no, I don't. I actually don't. I don't think he plays because clearly they are sold on Daniel right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the categoric difference with Anthony is you have the run threat back, right? Like, we had none of that with Jones's injury, but it also allows, plays to develop because Anthony can get out of the pocket a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We were never going to win that game last night by sitting in the pocket. It needed something more than that. Anthony certainly brings us that. Do I think that he would have thrown 2 or 3 interceptions? Yes.
Yeah.
That would have been the difference. We wouldn't have seen that kind of clean element that we saw from Jones last night. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know how I feel about this quarterback room. Like, it's almost taking me back to like August when we were sitting here, wanting to talk football, and it's like, is this just what we are now? Are we going to finish 8 and 9, miss the playoffs, sign Jones to a massive deal? Ballard will sit there and go, we were this close, and everyone's coming back next year. Shane's back next year, and then we run it back again. We haven't got a first rounder again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is this just what we as Colts fans? Is this just what? This is the product we have to support until, Ballard is gone and Shane is gone. And I don't necessarily think this is on Ballard. He's had a fantastic, season. He's made moves. It's just, I don't know. Like, I'm going to ask you a question too.
Yeah.
How do you think you'll feel, right? Let's say it goes to the wire and we sneak in, which is embarrassing in itself. We've gone from the fucking 1 seed to sneaking into the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any faith that we make it past that round 1 with this play calling and this offense right now the way it is?
I can't say, because yes, I think we can get round the first. I think we can get past the wild card weekend. I really do, because on our day, I think we're as good as anyone. It's just obviously volatile in the sense that we're either number 1 or we're number 7.
Yeah.
Robbie said something interesting a while back. He said peaked too early. It might be. I'm sure it was Robbie. He said peaked too early. And I sort of get it, right? But I also think you're playing with a quarterback on one leg. What the fuck were you thinking? That my one, and offline we mentioned there was that one look from Carly Ursay when she was clearly questioning why, and I think everyone in Indiana and around the world went, why? Because the one screenplay we threw to Jonathan Taylor went down the sideline for about 40 yards. And then he went, that's worked. Let's not do that again.
Yeah, and I'm getting so bored. We've joked about it, and if anyone watching is kind of like a long, or even short-term viewer, you know this joke, and it's the, it's the Shane Steichen. I've got to get better. It starts with me. It starts with me. It's like, I know we'll never get this. It's not how sports, journalism works. It'd have to be on Hard Knocks or something, but I would love him to be brave enough to come to the podium and explain why he's calling those plays. Like, talk me through that 3rd and 10 run call. Talk me through the end of the game. we had Alec Pierce beating everyone, right? Fuck it. Just go mass protect, bring in the big guns, and just throw it. What we would have lost anyway. Like, at least go out in style. That play call was diabolical.
3rd and 2. 3rd and 2 when you're going for it on 4th anyway, and you run the ball up the middle. It's mind-numbing.
It's just so frustrating when he's clearly a clever play caller and a very successful coordinator, but I just have no faith in his decision making right now. All faith I had in him has gone post Berlin, to be honest. I thought the bye was going to reset it, but tragic.
And speaking of tragic things, the Colts and kickers. Again, and this is it, right? The word he loves so much, the word that got launched at Anthony Richardson with the force of 1,000 fucking desk chairs behind it. Accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So we're keeping Michael Badgley then?
So I think Badgley's done on his next miss. Seamus asked
that could be the playoffs, though.
It really could. It really could.
Go Rodrigo Blankenship's doing fucking nothing. Go and get him. At least he can hit an extra point.
Yeah, he can play some leg or something too. But yeah, I think Shane was asked about it, and he kind of said, he knows he's going to make these kicks wherever. I think next era he's gone. But again, it's who else is out there? Who else can they bring in now? And genuinely send them out there to win football games. I don't know how easy that is,
mate. What's McAfee up to? If we're just going to go for it every 4th down anyway, just stick Sanchez out there to kick the fucking extra point.
Yeah,
I don't get mad at a kicker missing a 50-yarder. I don't get mad at that. I get mad at a kicker missing an extra pointer. That should be automatic for you. Like in the NFL, that's automatic, and it's the 3rd one he's missed. 3rd extra point.
It is 3rd on the year, and he's only been in since week 4 or week 5. Was it?
Maybe even later than that. God, I can't remember when Spence got injured.
Yeah.
Denver. No, it wasn't the Denver game. Anyway.
I can't remember.
But yeah, let's say he misses one against Jacksonville. And that's the game there. Well, we might as well say goodbye to the playoffs at that point.
Well, and I mean, I'm really glad you brought the Jacksonville game up, right? Because it's at Jacksonville, a place we've not had much success in, at all. And I'm not saying the Jags defense is elite. It has some elite players, but I think it's going to be a really boring, kind of slow feeling game, which we just inevitably lose through bad play calling.
My last thoughts on it before we move on. To end on a brighter, we'll talk about the umpires and reffing separate, but to then end on a brighter note. It feels like we're losing games because of Shane Steichen. And when we've been winning the games, it feels like we're winning games because of the excellence of Jonathan Taylor and, quite frankly, the excellence of Daniel Jones. Surely a general manager, an owner has to look at this and go, well, why? I have to be better. Well, cheers, mate, but this could be another fucking season down the drain. Chris is... The players have devil's advocate on the 3rd and 10 inside run.
That's a great point, actually.
I mean, yeah, right. I get it. The 3rd and 10 inside run, I absolutely get it. But I don't think you inside run it against Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. I think you do anything but a zone run, a screen. I think it's easy to sit here and criticize the play calling, right? It's easy to do that. But like you say, but he doesn't come out and explain what he saw. He won't come out and be like, we like the look, or Dale was lined up in the elephant position, so we decided to go with our giraffe attack or whatever, code words they use. It'll just come out and say, has to be better.
Mm.
Fans are not fucking stupid. Like, that's like speaking to a 3-year-old. Oh, it has to be better. No, most fans are adults. So, you can come out and say, well, this is what we saw. This is what they did on tape. We went with it. They made a great play, whatever. But it just has no, I don't know. Anyway, I hate doing this, right? Because to move it on, but I hate doing this because I had to seriously sit there yesterday at the end of that game and go, why should I waste my time with a sport that is being decided by one person? And I said in my little short reaction, I want consistency. And I braved the depths of Twitter after the game. It was like a cesspit. And I realized very quickly while I was no longer on there and got off. I'm not talking a bad call here. I'm not talking bad calls. Being a referee is a thankless task. They're a human being. Bad calls can happen. We got a very bad call against Denver. It went our way, and I remain consistent in the fact that I'm not asked about bad calls. What I'm asked about are calls that look like Vegas and bookmaking is definitely involved. That is what really irks my back. So I go on Twitter. Well, what about this call? What about that call? What about this call? Every rival, whether they're actual real fans or not, or they're just bots with blue ticks sent out to engage you in the rage bait conversation. I didn't actually engage in it because I couldn't be asked. But my argument is never going to be about bad calls. My argument is going to be when one single person is taking it in their hands to ruin the product of the game due to what looks like the involvement of bookmaking, I've got a serious fucking problem, because that extra point was not good. You can chat shit about angles and this and all you want, and their little version of the Pogmol fucking representative can come out and say, "Oh, no, he wasn't even looking up." I've gone back and watched it. He wasn't even looking up. He had no idea where that ball went. The Texans were all not celebrating. All the Colts players were celebrating. That tells you it's not good. Again, this has not cost us the game because we missed our own extra point. But when I see stuff that looks like it's ruining the integrity of the sport, as fans, we have to get past the tribalism of this call, that call, subjective calls. I'm not interested in, but 100%. I'll even forgo the DPI. That wasn't a DPI on Kenny to maintain the consistent approach. But when the play clock's at zeros for 2 seconds, when they clearly miss an extra point, I have to stand up and say, we need to investigate this referee.
Yeah, you're spot on. And I think it's really interesting to bring in social media.
Mm.
You know, you made a wonderfully kind of fair point there of, every week you get a bad call, you just kind of get used to it in
Yeah.
sport, whatever sport you follow.
Subjective calls, mate. Subjective
Yeah,
calls. I couldn't care about. They
yeah.
happen.
But, when that happens and you go on social media, you don't really hear about it. Or you hear about it from fellow angry fans, of
Yeah.
the team you know and love. What was categorically different last night was how many people from the media were speaking out about how bad this officiating game was. And to try and pick a play that maybe you haven't covered there,
Yeah.
the missed face mask on Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Like the
It was one last week.
players' fingers, Harrison.
Yeah.
I know you would have seen this, right?
Yeah.
But if anybody has not seen it, the player's fingers were stuck in his face mask. You could see him trying to yank them out to be like, "Oh shit, I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
get called here." Taylor's head was turned, with like I was watching it with someone, and they even said like, you could see his hands were stuck in his mask there, and it's just inexcusable and I'd be saying the same if it was, if it was Kenny Moore on Woody Marks and
Yeah.
Kenny did that, I would sit on the internet and say, we should have been penalised for that because you can't do that,
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there was again another face mask missed on Quentin Nelson. That was disgusting.
Clear as day, mate. Clear as day.
And yeah, it's interesting as well that everybody's gone the angle of Vegas and bookmaking, because it almost does feel like when, I reckon I could round up 20, 30 American football fans who watch the sport over various different times and ask them, have they ever seen what happened with that kick before?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody says yes. That is just, Tony Dungy said it better than I can today. The Colts have to raise formal complaints about the refereeing in that game.
And I want us to be clear, and I want to come across clear because I don't want people to just think, we're fanning it up. I'm not asked about the result of the game. Obviously, we lost. I hate it, right? My pure annoyance comes from you are ruining the integrity of the game. That was actually, it was a pretty good game to watch. I thought I really have got a lot of time for D'Amico Ryans. I think he's a great head coach, and there's obviously a lot of talent on that Texans team. And I thought it was just the number one defense. Well, we now know how they got it because they don't get called on stuff. No, but it was a very good defense against a struggling offense, but a good defense, and it was a really interesting. When you break it down, it's actually an interesting chess match to watch, and it's ruined by I don't know. I sit here and go, you want to sit here and go, it's not rigged. It's not rigged. It's not rigged. Kansas last week, it's not rigged. Oh, it's Arrowhead. In your own stadium, you're going to get favourable calls, But you look at the roughing the passer called on Patrick Mahomes, and it's just like, okay, it's whatever. You try and brush it off because you don't want to be the crazy guy. But I just think Roger Goodell has to sit there and look at the backlash that game got. That was on Sky Sports over here. Standalone, I think Arsenal and Chelsea had just finished or was just finishing. So it was essentially standalone on Sky Sports. You have a great game going, probably some new fans watching, and you're trying to grow it. And it's just been killed. And he has to sit there and go, I want to know why the fuck line judge, whatever he's called, has said that's a good PAT.
And Can you imagine being somebody who is new to the sport, even first time ever watching, and looking at that play and going, oh, that kick missed. And then all of a sudden the score changes. And even Neil Reynolds on the Sky coverage, not quoting it, but even he said, oh, hang on, Jason, obviously Jason Bell, the Texans have been given the extra point. And then the mic kind of cut out, and they're like, oh, we need to try get back to the field to, see what's going on. And if you're new to that, you're just going to think it's a Mickey Mouse sport, and you're going to go, fucking turn that off,
Yeah.
You are. I would.
And even JJ Watt, who we said last week, because of fucking Tony Romo, we said JJ Watt has every right to be biased and hate us, just like we have every right to be biased and hate him on the field, not off the field. I just think he's probably a really nice guy, but man, I don't know. I think there's no bad apples in the referee's cart, is what we're saying. But anyway, enough of that, because I seriously had to sit, like I went a bit quiet last night after the game because I had to sit there and go, is this worth my time watching? If that's going to happen, is this worth my time watching? And like I say, this is not about subjectivity of calls. This is about factually wrong calls that make the game look rigged. And it's just like, I think there's a problem in elite sports all around the world with refereeing in a minute. And I don't know what the answer is. So,
yeah, I mean, I kind of sat there, scratched my head too, not so much at, refs, more kind of, we were joking offline of, is this just another 8 to 9 year, we missed the playoffs again, that type of thing. That, I think that's what I've struggled with the most the last 2 weeks. We've had genuine chances to just be legit and be like, oh yeah, this team's actually for real.
yeah.
And it's just been shambolic to watch. And like people are still defending it as well. And I say good on them, good on you for defending it. But if you can't see the cracks in the wall right now, I don't know if you're looking.
Anyway, let's end on a brighter note, on a funner note. It's time for your evening game. I like to cheer you up. But before we get to the game, I just want to give a shout out to Sam Hatch, who you all know as the face of Colts Fans UK. UK Colts Fans. Which one is he? He's a big member of the UK scene for Colts fans. They had a watch party at the weekend, and I'm sure they had a lot of fun. He told me they had a lot of fun, and it looked like class time. So I'm going to get it when I can find it. Where are my notes? Yes, I've not deleted them, finally. So tonight's game, Nathan, is called Who Am I?
Yeah.
So it's going to start. I'm going to give you the hardest. These are all Colts related, by the way. I'm going to give you the hardest clue. If you get it on the hardest clue, you get 8 points.
Okay.
Then I'll give you the second clue if you want to move on to the second clue, which would be 7 points. Then the third clue would be 6 points. And then the last clue, if you get it on the last clue, that's 3 points.
Okay.
So it works like scoring in the NFL. And there's 4 to get. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, go.
So your first clue. Who am I? I went to Florida International University, where I racked up these numbers: 3,500 receiving yards, 24 touchdowns.
Philip Dorsett?
No. Would you like the third clue to go for 7 points?
Yeah, go on.
In 2016, I led the league with 1,448 receiving yards. You're going to kick yourself.
Dante Moncrief?
No. Would you like
2016.
2016? Who led the NFL in 2016 with 1,500 receiving yards?
T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton. Got it.
got. I really overthought the college then.
You
I should
did.
have just gone with T.Y. from the back, you know.
So you got 7 points there. The last two clues would have been I was drafted in the third round of the 2012 draft, and then the last clue would have been my real name is Eugene.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 7 points so far.
Yeah.
So you scored on your opening drive, unlike the Colts. So number 2, I did 2 stints with the Colts, 1998 to 2000, and then again in 2012.
No idea.
No idea.
I'd need more.
Yeah. So for 7 points, then this is a hard one. This I am a Super Bowl champion.
Another one.
Okay. So your third clue for 6 points, when my laptop stops being funny, is the third clue is I coached arguably the 2 best Colts quarterbacks of all time.
So it's a coach. Okay.
Yeah. 6 points. You dry stall him.
Bruce Arians?
Yeah, well done.
Yeah. I thought it was a player. My bad.
No, it's all right. I should have clarified. And then
Cool.
the last, go on.
What was that? 6 points, yeah?
Yeah, that was 6 points.
Okay.
The last clue would have been some say I should have been promoted to the full-time head coach instead of being kept as interim.
Yeah.
Okay. For your third player, Nathan, you're doing well here. Yeah. I am a Canadian football player, and the Colts were my first NFL team.
I think this is a receiver. Dion Kane?
No,
he came from college. Go again. Another one.
Okay, so your second clue is I did a 7-year stint with the Colts between the years of 1998 to 2005.
Canadian. Don't know. I have no idea.
For 6 points, this might help. This might help. To all Colts fans, I am probably more known for my off-field antics than my on-field production. Honestly, you're going to kick yourself when you hear this.
I probably will. I obviously don't know this guy is Canadian, and that's what's thrown me so badly. I have no idea, man. I'm blanking on the nationality. I think this is going to go to a field goal.
It's going for a field goal, and I'm going to give you the last clue. I am the idiot kicker.
2005. 1998 to 2005.
I am the idiot kicker who very famously had an off-field spat with the star quarterback.
I don't know. Let me know who it is.
So the one you haven't got so far, so that's 0 points, was the famous spat between Peyton Manning and Mike Vanderjagt.
Nice. That was hard. That was
Yeah,
one of the hardest questions you've ever asked me, I would say.
that was a tough one. That it was one of them. If it click, there's probably people watching going, "It's him! It's him!"
Yeah,
It's so easy. Like, right. So your last one, so that was 0 points. So you're currently on 13.
13. Yeah.
Oh, can you get to 20? Unlike the Colts. So for 8 points, including number one on your last player, my middle name is Emerson. I had to make it tricky. I did.
I'm going to take a wild guess here. This guess is going to be how long have our friendship's been. Obviously, I'm going to raw beer in my heart when I say this. Is it Jack Doyle?
It's not. Not.
Okay. I'll go to the 7-point clue.
So the 7-point clue might give it away a bit more. I was involved on a draft day trade for the Colts to come and get me. And just to be clear, come and get me doesn't necessarily mean the move's up. I just phrased it wrong.
No idea, honestly. No idea. Next one.
So your 6-point clue is I hail from the famous Notre Dame College.
Oh, Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, Quentin Nelson.
I did not know that. I'm learning something every day.
So then your last clue would have been I was the first NFL guard to win Offensive Rookie of the Month. So you got 19 points there.
I'll take that.
Let's take that. Currently, you're storming ahead 2-0 because nobody else has played yet. So, you know, maybe just like the Colts, we'll see what happens when the schedule gets real. But no, like I say, just fun little games to end the way. I'm sure we'll get Ed on for a game on Thursday, and we'll try and get Robbie on at some point because it cheers us all up. But yeah, just thanks everyone for joining and jumping in with our content. Chris, you know, it means a lot. And to the people who just join in with the Colts community altogether and the NFL community over here, thank you. We love you so much. That's enough from me. Nathan, anything else?
No. See you Thursday. That was a tough one.
It's only gonna get harder from here.
Yeah. Bye, guys.